answers. And the whole chapter, that is why it's such an important chapter, is stressing over and above on the foremost position of bhakti. When we say bhakti here, we're talking about pure bhakti, keval bhakti. And then we will discuss the different rungs of the ladder. If you just like a ladder, there's different rungs on the ladder. So again, within bhakti, you will find different steps. You cannot overstep. No, there is different degrees of advancement, different breakdown. That will be extremely important. Section 16 to 22. And again, only Krishna is to be served, rejecting demigod worship. Then more answer. Prabhupada was very keen that we learn this chapter by heart practically. You can do that over time. It's a great asset for you when you give classes, and it's very potent chapter. Okay. So then now from 1 to 5, this is Sutta Goswami speaking. Munaya sadhu prishto ham bhavadbir lokamangalam yat krita Krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. Someone can read. You can read the Sanskrit if you want to.
Munaya sadhu prishto ham bhavadir lokamangalam yat krita Krishna samprashno yat nama suprashidati. Translation. All sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self.
Yes. If you feel like saying something, anytime you want to say something, you just say, and especially the reader, if you feel inspired, because I assume that you guys have been reading ahead. So feel free to, because remember, Srimad Bhagavatam is not only for the speaker, it's for the hearers, and we are on the same level. And as I told you before, don't wait until you are an old person to start teaching. Practically speaking, whatever you learn, you have to tell someone else. So you tell others, and as soon as you understand something, you have to teach it to someone else. That's the name of the process. Bhujan Prabhu used to say, our studies are not complete unless and until we start teaching.
I'm going to Mayapur.
If you just study, it's incomplete.
I could hear there.
You have to teach, then your studies is complete. Because by teaching, you will assimilate further. You will digest the learning, and then you will assimilate. Anyway.
Thank you.
So if you want to say anything, Rajamandali, feel free.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. So again, you can see the Sanskrit 1 to 5. Yenatma suprasidati. It's going to come a lot in this chapter. Suprasidati. It will come very often. What's the meaning of suprasidati? Can you see the Sanskrit? Suprasidati.
Completely pleased.
Yeah, Atma, Yin Atma. It's not only the body. We can be, we are in the sun, the body is pleased, it's warm. The mind can be pleased. Yes, the intellect can be pleased. But here, Yin Atma, the Atma will be pleased. That is why it is the real Sanatan Dharma. So we have seen that now Sutta is speaking. He is quite satisfied. He has offered respect. And now he can start the Puran. Now, the Srimad Bhagavatam, basically the narrative, the narration starts here. And of course, we have already seen that Sutta has been praising the words of the sages. They are worshipable, their words. So, and it is Loka Mangalam. Yat Krita Krishna Samprashno 1 to 5. Prashna means question. Because your questions are dealing with Krishna, it's so absolute. Loka Mangalam. Everyone will benefit, even those who are not Krishna conscious. So the essence we discussed in 1 to 3, Akila Shruti Saramekam, the essence is to talk about Krishna. We have a tongue, we have seen the morning, the birds, they chirp. Everyone is speaking, the crow, you have seen the dogs, the cats, and even the humans are speaking day and night. But the real use of the tongue, of the ear, is to hear about Krishna. So Jiva Goswami explains here there's many names for Krishna. Krishna has millions, unlimited names. Adokshaja, Sarvatampati. We discussed a few, Vasudeva, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. So they want to know about Shreya. Again, Shreya means the best for humans. Yeah. So this is 2.5. But nothing definitely over the top here. It's quite straightforward. The intellect is satisfied, the Atma is satisfied. This is fine. These are my notes, I remember my notes long back when I started studying Bhagavatam like 20 years ago. And we are entering the very important section, the perfection of religion. And very soon you're going to see the questions are going to be answered. What was the first question? Do you remember?
What is the highest good for human?
Yeah, exactly. So, without further ado, let's hear the next verse, which is a very important verse. It's one of the most quoted verses by Srila Prabhupada. Hundreds and hundreds of times, 1 to 6 was quoted. Sarepun samparo dharmo yatu bhakti adokshaje aitu kyapati hata yajatma suprasivati.
Savai pumsham paro dharmo yato bhaktira tukshate pataitu ki aprati hata yayatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotion and service and to the transcendental Lord. Such devotion and service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self.
Again, 1 to 5, yenatma suprasidati. 1 to 6, yayatma suprasidati. Practically it's the same line. We are dealing with atma suprasidati, satisfaction, haris toshanam, the satisfaction of haris, satisfaction of the self, of atma. I remember that quote. One time, one person asked Srila Bhaktisiddhanta what to use. I mean, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, can you imagine, used to publish daily newspaper. We are doing Back to Godhead. It's a bi-monthly, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it? Bi-monthly. Here, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used a daily newspaper in 3 languages. See? English, Hindi, Bengali. So a big man asking, why, what can you, I mean, how far can you discuss about spiritual life? And what is the answer? Ekapad vibhuti, tripad vibhuti. What's the meaning? The material world is considered ekpad vibhuti. 1/4. If you take the whole spectrum of creation, both material and spiritual, material world is only 1/4. And Bhakti Siddhanta answer to that, man, how many newspaper? Have you seen the size of Sunday newspaper in New York? How many pages? How many trees are killed? So he answered, on the tiny small planets like this, Earth, how many newspaper in Canada, in France, in everywhere in the world? Millions. And don't you think we can speak more than you? We are talking with the spiritual world, tripad vibhuti, 3/4. And he said, I have a lot to say, but no customers. This is the problem. You know, you publish an e-magazine. How many people? I know how many people buy the Sunday Times in New York. Okay, so this is 1 to 6 again. This is the answer of, I would say, the first two questions of the sages, 9 and 11. It's a key verse, as I told you. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has written a book, Akila Shruti Saram. Sorry. What's the name of that book? Bhagavat Arkamarichi Mala. The Mala, the garland of Bhagavat Ark means sun, the sun-like shlok of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He has extracted out of the 18,000 shlok, he has extracted 1,328. For those who are lazy, who cannot study the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is 1 to 6 is definitely part of it. Is one of the key verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Abhidaya Vichar. What is the process? I told you the second chapter is extremely rich. So what is the process of attaining the goal of life? Absolute truth, Vichar. And the answer is 1 to 6. This is Bhakti. Remember the 6 questions? What is the ultimate benefit for mankind? The essence of all scriptures? This is the answer. Bhakti. And what kind of Bhakti? Can someone tell me what kind of Bhakti are we talking about here? It is, well, there's 2 adjectives in 1 to 6 that describe what kind of Bhakti we're talking about.
Ahetuki
Yes.
and Apratihata.
Exactly. Ahetuki means?
Causeless, without any material motivation, without any we see this verse from Nectar of Devotion.
Yes. Anya Bilashita.
Anya Bilasita Sunyam, yeah, free from any jnana. Anya Bilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi. Anything which is not contaminated with material knowledge, jnana, karma, adi, and what pleases Krishna, which is favorable to Krishna.
Exactly. And look at the Sanskrit, it's so rich. Save pumsam parodamu. What's the meaning of pumsam?
For mankind?
Yes. So this is your answer. When you find someone, oh, this is, oh yes, I know it. It's a Hindu religion. You tell him 1 to 6, my dear friend. Save pumsam parodamu. Does it say dam? Does it say Hindu? Hindu is a word coined by the Persians. It's not a Sanskrit word, it's a speculative word. Hinduism is hodgepodge. Doesn't exist. It has been created. It's a hodgepodge. And so if you want to talk Sanskrit, this is the verse. Anyone who tells you in your face, oh, it's a Hindu stuff, tell him, Save Pumsam. What's the meaning of Pumsam? Human being. For any human being. You are born, not only this, how many human beings on earth? Only perhaps 10 races of human beings. How many species of human beings altogether?
400,000.
Yes. So immediately, this verse projects you way beyond this earth. Just understand the magnitude of that verse. We are dealing with the whole universe here. Savepum Samparo, Paro Dharma. Not only regular Dharma, Paro, Para, Supreme. That's Keval Bhakti. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. Vishwanath quotes 622 here. The only means of attainment, the final perfection, is to engage the mind in devotional service, and not only wishy-washy, intensely. See? Only paradharma means bhakti. Exclusion of any other processes. We discussed in 1.1.2. Dhamma Prajito Kitavotra, Paramo, Nirmat, Sananam, Satam, same point. Prem Bhakti, we're talking about Prem Bhakti. Aituki means causeless. Oh, I want my daily bread, my dear sir, my dear Lord. This is not causeless. See? Apratiota, I just go to the Mass on Sundays. No, uninterrupted. This is pure Bhakti. There is no cause. There is no cause to Bhakti. It has been delivered to you by another devotee, by the grace of the Madhyamadikarim. What is the cause? Is it due to you, to me? Is it something that is, we owe that? No, it's causeless. Even the way we received it is causeless. It's the grace of, that's the grace of the great soul. Mahajana Yena Sagata Panta, Shira Prabhupada's system. Mix bhakti, Kama Mishra bhakti. You do bhakti, but you have something in mind. You have something, an axe to grind, as we say. This is not 1 to 6. 1 to 6 is Aituki. So Vishwanath, it goes into that direction. Prem is not caused by sadhana bhakti. If as soon as you do engage into Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, it's sadhana bhakti, and sadhana bhakti will turn into sadhya. There's a verse. What is that verse? I'm forgetting it. Just like, when you are a little boy or little girl, you tend to you learn how to walk, and then you're a toddler, okay? And sometimes you fall and you trip and you even bleed. But 20 years later, you may be doing the marathon. You're the same person. You may be a worldwide athlete doing the marathon. So in the same way, there's a verse, Kriti Sadhya Bhavet Sadhya Bhava. If you engage your senses into Krishna consciousness, you will come to Bhav. Just like a little boy trips over, but 20 years later, he may be an athlete in the Olympics. The same person. So Vedi will turn into Raganuga and then Bhav and Prem. That's the point of Vishwanath here. So we cannot separate, oh, this is Vedi, and then a big wall, and oh, now it's Raganug, and then a big wall, and now it's Bhav and Prem. No, gradually, Nitya Siddhasya Bhavasya, and there's a verse, because pure devotion is already in the heart of the jiv, even in the heart of a snail. Can you imagine? The pure devotion is there in the heart of the snail, of a dog. It has to be awakened. Unfortunately, a dog, a snail, a giraffe cannot, a little bit it can be awakened by taking prasad, by hearing the mantra Hare Krishna, but it cannot be fully awakened. Only if you have a human form of life. then the full potential of bhakti will be processed and will blossom, just like a flower which is fully blossomed. It will give out the greatest fragrance because it's fully blossomed. That is bhakti. And that is only possible in human form of life. Even demigods are hampered because too much opulence, too much. 244. They are hampered by too much opulence, too much gratification. So Vishwanath is making this very important point. Sadhana bhakti and prema are not actually different things. Just like infancy, youth, adulthood. See? Anyway, this is very important book. So, and Vishwanath is reminding us even charity, vow, austerity, sacrifice, you're doing your duty perfectly, Yes, it can give rise to bhakti in sattva-gun. Yes. Because bhakti, you have different flavors of bhakti. It can be, your performance of bhakti is in tamagun, in rajagun, it's in sattva-gun. If you perform bhakti in sattva-gun, that can be considered an anga of Gyan Yoga. You can see the Jnana Yogi, they are also very strict, very clean, they take vows, and even they will take up to bhakti. You follow? But for the sake of merging, perhaps. You follow? So, yes, all these things can help, but when it comes to pure bhakti, as described in 1-16, all these things are not the causes of pure bhakti. Austerity, sacrifice, charity, personal study. And the verse is there, 1:12:9. Krishna says to Uddhav, they cannot achieve me, even taking sannyas. That may be helpful for Shuddha, for Sattva Gun Bhakti, yes. But when it comes to pure Bhakti, no. It's Aituki. And Vishwanath goes very far, very, very far. Just like Madhurya Kadambini we discussed. Huh? Not even the mercy of the Lord is the cause of pure bhakti. Can someone explain that point? How come the mercy of the Lord is not the cause of pure bhakti? For those who are familiar with Madhurya Kadambini, they are able to answer perhaps.
So the question is, you're telling what we learn is the cause of bhakti is dependent on bhakti itself, Prabhu, and
yes,
how by the mercy of a devotee, the association, one can revive the devotion that is still lying dormant in one's heart.
Exactly. What would be the drawback if we say that the Lord is the cause of bhakti? There would be a drawback there.
Yeah, then we can say we don't need to make any effort. It's the Lord who decides. So whenever He wants to give me bhakti, He will give. If He doesn't want to give, then what can I do?
Yes, very good.
And also because bhakti causes bhakti, and bhakti is self-manifesting and is independent. It is said here in the book that it's independent of the nature of the Lord.
Okay. So I'm getting a message here from Gopal Krishna. He's telling me devotees want to join this class, but I don't see anyone.
Yeah, Murshikar just called me and
Then I send the link.
I
I
No,
here.
what-
I haven't been able to connect, but it was taking time to. It keeps loading, and I don't.
Because Gopal Krishna wants to join now. I send the link on
I
on
I
WhatsApp.
I admitted him, Prabhu, already.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yes.
Gopal Krishna is here. Yeah.
Nice, friend of mine. So basically, it's a very important point, and you guys have to mention that to others. Huh? It's even devotees get mixed up. If you say that the Lord is the cause of bhakti, that's incomplete. Just like Alinishna says, it means, oh, I just wait and do nothing and wait for His mercy. That's not a proper attitude. Number two, if we say that the Lord only is the cause of bhakti, that means is partial. How come not everyone has bhakti then in the world? It means the Lord is very partial. So we cannot say, Vishwanath explained, we cannot say that the cause of pure bhakti is the Lord. That's eliminated. Otherwise, the Lord will be unjust or prejudiced. Now, we're coming closer to the reality. If we say that the cause of bhakti is the mercy of the devotee, it is not so incorrect. It's well put. It means it is correct. Of course, the Uttam Bhakta, like for instance, Gokishore, Dasabaji Maharaj, they are not prejudiced. They don't discriminate. But they don't preach because they consider themselves fallen. Can you imagine? We cannot even relate to those persons. Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur used to say, keep a distance from him. You will kill your spiritual life. You will draw hasty conclusions. Keep a distance. So what we are looking at here is Madhyamadikari. Even Srila Prabhupada can step down to Madhyamadikari for the sake of preaching. As soon as someone preaches effectively, Mahatma Prabhu, Raghunath Maharaj, that's Madhyam. They discriminate. And there's a verse in 11th canto, the demons, Krishna, the devotees, and the innocents. They know how to deal respectively. And what happened for those who are familiar with the Madhurya Kadambini? Asva Kripa Shakti. In other words, the Kripa Shakti of the Lord is transported. You follow? Just like you have a truck, it transports, it carries your goods. So the mercy is transported by the Madhyamadika. This is the answer. And because that's quite amazing, the Lord becomes subservient to the Madhyamadikari. The Madhyam decides, yes, I'm going to give my mercy to that person in the form of a book. Then the Lord's mercies follows. In other words, Lord Krishna becomes subservient to the Madhyam, to the preacher. So then Vishwanath goes further. How can we say it's Aituki then? Causeless. That's another question. We have discussed, the conclusion is yes, it's coming from through the mercy of the Madhyam, who transports the mercy of the Lord. Yes, okay. So it looks like it's still there's a cause into it. Because 126 says Aitukiya Pratyata. So Vishwanath answers, the Lord's mercy is included in the mercy of the devotee. And we know that the Lord's mercy will flourish in Sadhu Sangha. Just like now, we are doing Sadhu Sangha. We are flourishing. We have received mercy. But if you remain alone in your room, day in, day out, will that mercy flourish? No. So it takes the association of devotees for the mercy of the Lord to flourish, just like it takes water and sunlight for your roses to bloom in your garden. Being in the garden is not sufficient. It takes sunlight and water. Because sadhu sangha is a part of pure bhakti. You cannot say, I'm practicing. Prabhupada used to say, if you claim that you can practice bhakti alone, it's a phantasmagoria. It doesn't exist. It is not possible. So what is the conclusion according to Vishwanath? Bhakti, or not, in other words, bhakti anga, which is sadhu sangha, causes bhakti. Because, in other words, even though you may say, well, I've got bhakti in my heart, yes, but it cannot be a reason without the presence of a devotee. A third party should come into your life, the Madhyamadikari. And that connection with the Madhyamadikari, powerful Madhyamadikari, your bhakti, which is dormant in your heart, will ignite, will be ignited. Just like, why do you think you can light up wood? Because fire is there in a big form, in a big degree, it's there in a gross, in a gross form, in a subtle form, I would say. And you put warmth, you put something warm in the form of fire, it will ignite the fire within the wood. In the same way, your bhakti will be a reason from within. This is the conclusion of Vishwanath. So that is why Vishwanath concludes, bhakti is the cause of bhakti, and you cannot separate. At a very high level of bhakti, you cannot separate the devotee, the bhakti, the Lord, the mercy. No. It's not Mayavadism, but just like, you know, if you cook with ghee is all over the place. So the items that are soaked in ghee and cooked, they are totally not different from the ghee. Transformation of the ghee. That's a very good point. There is oneness. You follow? So there is oneness. Yes, I agree. Samadarshanat is called Samadarshanat. You see like the Lord. You are practically one with the Lord in bhakti, in love. But it doesn't mean you lose your identity. Just like a green bird enters the green foliage of a green tree, it doesn't mean he's lost in the tree. He's still distinct from the tree, even though he's within the tree. This is the point. And then Vishwanath writes a beautiful sentence, even though bhakti appears by bhakti, thus being self-manifesting, it doesn't negate the fact that bhakti's self-manifesting nature comes from the Lord. See? Because if we go further up, who is the epitome of bhakti? Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani is not different from Krishna. It is the same identity. You cannot say Srimati Radharani as a different identity from Krishna. This is not proper. Now, it's a very deep verse. Apratiyata. Can you stop bhakti? Yes or no? Let's say you are thrown in jail for 30 years. Can it stop you from practicing bhakti?
No.
Now, you have seen in that book, Salty Bread, those Prabhus were totally imprisoned in former USSR. They were even tortured. Some devotees died, some Matajis died, they lost their babies. They were tortured. Did they stop practicing? They made mala made of bread. Can you imagine the level? You cannot stop bhakti. You change your body, you go to Yamaraj, can you stop bhakti? No. Nalayana Parayana, Nakutasana Vidyati. The pure devotee is never afraid, even if he goes to hell or he goes to Svagalok, he can still practice that. And remember the verse of Mother Kunti? I want my bhakti to flow like Ganga. For those of you who have been to Gomukh, I've been to Gomukh. This is the source of Ganga. Even big boulders, as big as a house, I've seen, are rolling in the Ganga flow. The Ganga goes around. So Mother Kunti, she says, please let my flow of bhakti go uninterrupted, just like Ganga is flowing uninterrupted to the Bay of Bengal. This is the point. You cannot destroy bhakti. What is the verse in the Gita that proves that? There's a verse in the second chapter.
Mm.
240, I believe. What is it? We're getting the Sanskrit now. It says that 240, 241, 240, I believe. That's
Yeah, it's Nehavikrama Nasusti
Acharya Vidyate.
Navidyate Swalpamapi Asya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bayat. Like in the end, and while someone is practicing bhakti, in that endeavor, there's nothing to lose, nor it will diminish at any point, and even a little progress in your bhakti, that will be always protected, and from anything, from even any danger, and you carry it forward from one birth to another.
Exactly. You cannot, even death cannot destroy that. Even you may say, well, I'm not a pure devotee. Okay, but Krishna is so kind that, what is the name of Krishna? It takes on at Bhavagrahi Janardhan. What's the meaning? It's the name of Krishna. Bhavagrahi Janardhan. It takes only the Bhav. You have 1% of Bhav, the rest is crap. Krishna will take the Bhav, 1%. This is Krishna.
So, Prabhu, I have a question here.
Yes.
Just if a devotee had this intense desire to do some service, like build a preaching center or something, but somehow or other, the person is not able to do it. So, will Krishna sees the intention and reward accordingly, or how does it?
Just like Prabhupada, you have seen, was his intention lesser in 22 than in 1965 when he crossed the ocean? Certainly not. He tried and tried, but he never gave up.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take for the sake of argument, Prabhupada had body even before creating Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he had left the body on the boat. He had 2 heart attacks. Do you think he would have been prejudiced by Lord Krishna back in the spiritual world? Or you could not finish up the task? No.
Mm-hmm.
You have seen Uddhav. Uddhav is disobeying Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna was about to terminate his pastimes on earth, Moshalia Lila. Uddhav is so close, he could detect the Lord is about to go. He's gonna leave the world. And he told Uddhav asked Lord Krishna, please let me go with you. Krishna said, no, you take sannyas, you go to Badarikashram and you meet Narayana Rishi and tell him about my katha. And he told him, you go. It's a big order, a very heavy order. And Uddhav was practically, how do you say, he could not walk straight. He was wobbling on the way. It's beginning of the third canto, beautiful section. And midway, can you imagine from Dwarka to Badalekashram? It's a long, long way. Midway, it disobeys Lord Krishna. It goes back to Lord Krishna. It totally disobeys. And you think when he meets Lord Krishna in Prabhas, Lord Krishna, does he blast Uddhav? No. On the contrary, it tells him Uddhav Git. So, just imagine Srila Prabhupada had not completed the ISKCON pastimes. Would he have been reprimanded by Lord Krishna or by his Guru? No. So it means, like you say, the very intent to do it will take you forward. And it took Srila Prabhupada 40 years, 50 years to accomplish the task that he had received in 22. But he never gave up. That's the catch. Even though he was going back to the pier in New York, right in the beginning, he was even going back and find out when is the next ship. And he was kind of, okay, the guy will tell him, okay, in 2 weeks. And he would go back and still try. And at one point, it just like you try to ignite a fire, it doesn't work. And at one point, it starts working. Gradually, little fire. So in the same way, so that's the lesson. We should not give up. You try to open the preaching center, some obstacles, some politics. You try another way, this way, that way.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you leave the world midway, you open the preaching center, but it's at least it has started, and you give orders, you give instructions, or you enthuse others to carry on. You have done your job. This is like that. So apratihata, let's carry on that term. Apratihata means uninterrupted. So in other words, if you are doing bhakti uninterrupted, just like the verse, Anyadilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Anavritam. It's not anavritam, it's uncovered. Your bhakti is not covered by jnana and karma. You may have some tinges of that, but you don't let those tinges soil or sully your bhakti. When you pray, you ask for pure bhakti. You don't let your material desires step in between. That's what it means.
Prabhu, sorry to interrupt you. I understand how karma means material desire can contaminate your bhakti. Can you elaborate a bit about how jnana can contaminate one's bhakti? Is it the person gets kind of a fault? Okay, I want to hear from you, Prabhu.
Yeah, so it's quite straightforward. Can someone answer this question? I don't want to be the only one speaking. What is the contamination of Gyan Yoga?
The person becomes arrogant, has so much knowledge, assimilating so much knowledge.
Yes, that could be one aspect. Yes. What else?
You can divert to Mayavadi and personalism.
Yes. Oftentimes, as we know, they want to merge. And that is not pure devotion. But again, I make the point very often. If you're not antagonistic to Krishna, Krishna may let you merge. You follow? Because you have some good disposition towards Krishna. You are somewhat anukul, even though you are still covered by Jnana, Karma, and Yoga, but because you are like a Brahmavad. The Brahmavad, they are impersonalistic, but they are not offensive like the Mayavad. They accept Krishna as a transcendental body, Satchitananda. They accept, yes, this is the supreme personality of Godhead, but it comes from Brahman. That's where they get mixed up. they are thinking Krishna comes from Brahman. Krishna is an offshoot of Brahman. And in the Nectar in the Shri Upanishad, Srila Prabhupada explained many demigods are on that level. Many demigods think that Krishna comes from Brahman. That makes them Brahmavad. But they are not offensive. So they may be able to merge, but that's not pure bhakti. See, that's unfortunately not pure bhakti for them. So does it answer? And the Gyan Yogi, they want to merge. So in that sense, they get sidetracked, you know. Here Vishwanath says, when we say Yayatma Suprasidati, Atma can mean body, mind, intellect, or even soul. So here Vishwanath takes the stand of Atma means the mind. So automatically we are letting go of material desires here. In the Bhagavatam, in the Gita, when you see Krishna Bhakti, by definition, by default, it's pure Bhakti. Never will Sutta Goswami discuss about a verse dealing with Kama Nishra Bhakti. It's totally ludicrous. So any points you want to make, and it's a deep verse.
Prabhu,
Yes.
do you think, can you elaborate this quote that the Lord becomes subservient to his devotees?
Yeah. So I will refer to, I think we studied together, the Madhurya Akademini a little bit.
Yes.
In other words, Sva Shakti, Sva Shakti, Sva Kripa Shakti. The Lord becomes subservient. He lets himself be, just like, you're a great person, but you let yourself be decided by others. You trust others, Krishna often does that. He's the supreme, but still is going to ask Uddhav, what do you think I should do? You follow? So Krishna loves to depend on his pure devotees. So even if you are Madhyamadikari, you may not be a Mahabhagavat, but you are a good preacher. So Prabhupada was the best example. He's a very good preacher. Of course, he's a pure devotee also. So practically speaking, you can see lots of small Brahmins. They have even found fault with Prabhupada. How dare you to give mantra diksha to Videshi? How dare you to give sannyas to Videshi? How dare you to give Harinam diksha and mantra diksha to women and Videshi women? How dare you? Even his own god brothers found fault. So why did you think he was backed up by Lord Krishna? Because he's carrying the mercy. He is minimum a Shakti Vaishnavata, if not more, most probably more. My Guru Maharaj used to say, it's an offense to say that Prabhupada is just a Shakti Vaishnavata. It's a big offense, according to my Guru. So, you can see in the life of Srila Prabhupada, in the life of his son, practically speaking, Krishna disappears and he gives carte blanche to Srila Prabhupada, going to the West, giving sannyas. The guy is going to fall down again, giving him sannyas. Many people will find fault. Many. Smarta, even Vaishnava will find fault. So did Srila Prabhupada get reaction for that? Did you see him crushed by Krishna?
No.
So what does it mean? It means he becomes subservient because he knows this Srila Prabhupada of mine, Krishna is saying, is the last hope practically. We are at the threshold of Kali Yuga. This is my last hope, Senapati Bhakta. Even Lord Chandash Thakur in the 16th century, he has already envisioned there will be someone coming. Senapati Bhakta. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also mentions that. So he has carte blanche, you know, and even the verse is there of Narad in the 5th chapter, 1st canto. Even if that composition is somewhat incorrect, there's some some defects in the composition, it will be thoroughly accepted by men and women who are honest. There's a verse like this. So this is exactly the good example of Srila Prabhupada, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He has been, it's like power of attorney. You know what it means, the power of attorney in English? Power of attorney.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
you are handing over your power of attorney to someone else, trustworthy. So that's what Krishna did. And many people found fault with Prabhupada. Many. Did he care?
Mm-hmm.
Because he had a mission. His intent was pure. And even though, you know, his disciples could not pronounce Gayatri Mantra properly and etc., but they had such a good demeanor and attitude and love that they got accepted by Krishna. Just on the basis, because they were recommended by Srila Prabhupada.
Mm-hmm.
So just like if you sail behind a big boat, behind the boat there will be calm sea. Did you notice a huge boat on the ocean? Behind it's very smooth because you are behind, you are in the wake of the big boat. So you have to be in the wake of Srila Prabhupada, tagging, you know, holding on to his dhoti. Through your guru, of course. This is the point. Then there will be not much disturbance in your spiritual life. As soon as you attempt to go yourself at sea outside the security of that big boat, danger is there. Okay, so 126 is huge. Even Jiv Goswami is giving a big chunk. But I think we are Su Prasidati. Prasidati means completely, but Su means totally, highest degree.
Mm-hmm. Prabhu,
Yes.
can I share something? I just heard a lecture and it was very much in line with what Raja's question was.
Yeah.
You see, as it's mentioned, Krishna says, I reside nowhere but in the heart of my devotees. And even Vrindavan, it's a Vrindavan, a place where there are his devotees. So there was one intense, I guess it was a pastime between a very pure devotee and Krishna. So that devotee was telling Krishna, look, you reside in my heart. If I remove you out from my heart, you don't have even a place to go and stay. So practically, you see the rasa between a pure devotee and Krishna, that how Krishna becomes so subservient to a pure devotee, that even the devotee was telling, if I remove you from my heart, you don't have even a place to go and stay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful. This is very advanced Raganuga.
Yeah.
There was one deaf Mataji. Can you imagine? How can you change a round? She's deaf. You know what she would do? She would write 16 rounds. She would write it. Takes 3 hours. This is how to keep active. See? This is how to keep. She cannot speak. Do you think that will bar her from going back to the Lord? No way. You have seen Srila Prabhupada starting in New York or even in Vrindavan, Damodar Mandir. What does he have? A trunk, no toilet, no windows, just and Bhagavatam. So, and I've seen in Vrindavan 2 brothers, Indian bodied, totally in wheelchair. The body is totally torn in many angles. And they are effulgent like in Brahmachari. they write art, they preach, they're on wheelchair. This is A2K. Now back to perhaps one last point on 1 to 6. Prabhupada explained Dharma. So there's many definitions of Dharma, but beautiful definition here, that which sustains one's existence. That's a beautiful thing. You can say Dharma means religion, yes, Sanatan Dharma, Dharma Patni, Dharma Pati, Dharma, so many types of Dharma, Vanashram Dharma, but that definition is very deep, that which sustains your existence. This is Dharma. And you cannot go deeper than that. You speak to a Muslim, what are those books all about, my dear friend? That which sustains your existence. You are a Muslim, no problem. You are a Hindu, no problem. That which sustains your existence. This is another proof that this Krishna consciousness is way beyond all this upada. Even
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
yes,
I have also heard the term of Swadharma.
yes, very good.
So, can you kindly give us more information about Swadharma?
Yeah. Look, take your guitar, 231.
231. Okay, give me a minute.
Everyone can look because that's the answer is right there. There's two types of Swadharma. What are the two types? Or perhaps 331. I always get mixed up. Let me see. 231, perhaps 331. Let's see. Yeah, 231. I was right. So let's read. There are two kinds of Swadharma. Specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. So we know that. It's called Purush Artha, Dharma Artha Kama Moksha. When one is liberated, one's Swadharma specific duty becomes spiritual, and it's no more the bodily concept of life. In the bodily conception of life, there are specific duties, Brahmin, Kshatriya, it's called Vanashram. And such duties are unavoidable. Why? Because you identify as a Brahmin, I'm a housewife, I'm a mechanic, I have to go to the garage every day. It's unavoidable. You cannot say, well, I'm going to stop it. Because you are bound, duty bound. Swadharma is ordained by the Lord. And this will be clarified in the fourth chapter. On the bodily plane, Swadharma is called Vanashram. We agree. Or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Vanashram down. Specific duties in the form of the specific modes of the body obtained. So, discharging one specific duty in any field of action, in accordance with the orders of higher authorities, serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. So, in other words, here is describing one type of Swadharma is Vanashram, as long as you are still identifying as part of the Vanashram, you have to do your duty. And once you are satiated by Krishna Katha, you are totally beyond Vanashram. There's a verse in the 11th canto. You don't have any more to render service to your assistants, to your maids, to your animals, even to your parents. You are beyond Vanashram. Then what is your Swadharma? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasivanam. Then it becomes Swarup Siddhi Bhakti. You follow? Swarup Siddhi Bhakti means pertaining to your Swarup. Once you are back in Golok or Vaikunt, you are still doing Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. You're not going to stop. Whether you are Sadaka or Sadhya, perfected being, is Siddha, you're still doing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. This is the constitutional position. The constitutional dharma is called Swarup Siddhi, Swadharma. And the conditional duties pertaining to Vanashram, that's another type of Swadharma. You follow, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, yes.
So it is the same term, but it applies to different beings. As long as you're not liberated, like you and me, then you have to perform your duties. You cannot let it go. But Krishna explained to Uddhav, once you are satiated by Krishna Katha, you don't need anything else, just Krishna Katha, day and night. Then you can let go.
Prabhu, when you're telling about letting go, so how do we reconcile the fact that, like in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, I think 320, even if someone is liberated, in order to set example to the world, they still have to carry on with their swadharma, as you mentioned in the bodily platform.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's pertaining to, pertaining to Kama Mishra Bhakti, because what is explained in the third chapter, fourth chapter, basically it's Kama, I would say more precisely, Nishkam Kama Yoga. What is Nishkam Kama Yoga? Nishkam Kama Yoga means you are doing your Kamya karmas, Nemitika karmas, In India, it's quite prevalent. They have to, do their offer ablutions, offer offerings to the demigods, the shraddha to the ancestors, So this is called Nishkam Karma Yoga. You are doing your Vanashram duty, and what you do, Yat Karoshi 927, Yadashnoshi, Yajuoshi Dadas, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, Mother Panam, do it as an offering to me, Krishna says. That's Nishkam Karma Yoga. You offer your activity within Vanashram to Krishna. That's great. But that's still within the realm of Vedika karma, your Vanashram duty, that is your Swadharma. But we have seen in the third chapter of the Gita, 317, for instance. Krishna says in 370, but for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, one who's satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there's no duty. So now this person, 317 onwards, is realized. Is a self-realized. But for the sake of showing others, he still does his duty. Just like Srila Prabhupada, when a devotee would be sent to Srila Prabhupada, oh, this devotee, Srila Prabhupada doesn't chant his 16. Prabhupada would say, why not? I chant my 16, why not you? So Prabhupada needs to chant his 16 rounds to be Krishna conscious. Does Mother Yashoda chant 16 rounds?
That I don't know.
Of course not. They are self-realized souls. They are Vishnu Parikar. So Prabhupada is chanting his 16 rounds for the sake of showing the example. But he's on a such high level of bhakti. I mean, he's coming from below. But when he came down as a madhyam, he showed the example. Yes, I'm going to chant my rounds to show them. 64, Bhaktisiddhanta said, unless you chant 64, you're a dog. So you just look at the the dilemma of Srila Prabhupada he had to face in the beginning. He was trying to enforce 64, talking to hippies. They were like, what's going on? And then 32, and still they were freaking out. And then 16, but no less. So you can see how Srila Prabhupada, he had to adjust so many details, but he didn't water down, dilute the principles. So it doesn't mean because you are showing the example that you yourself are not beyond the example.
Mm-hmm.
Prabhu, I have one question concerning the condition Swadharma. If persons are following Varnashram Dharma, but they are not exposed to bhakti, they are just following the conditions of Dharma. So how are they going to get the mercy of the Lord to come to the platform of bhakti?
Yeah, that's a very good question. They are just karmis. Now, when we say karmi, it's a misuse of the term. A non-devotee should not be called a karmi. A karmi means a karma kandi. It's basically a nishkam or sakam kama yoga, or nishkam, depending on his degree of attachment. Karmi means someone who follows karma kandi. So now you may be following your kamya karmas, your nimitika karmas, you're doing your shraddha for the ancestors, you offering offerings to the demigods according to your lokika karma, or this is my gotra, we are worshipping Ganesh for the last 500 years. That's I have to do it. It's a tradition. Lokika means popular tradition in my lineage. I have to do it. That's obviously that's Swadharma. Okay, you're doing that, but if you are not connected to Krishna consciousness, then that's not going to take you back to Krishna. You will remain in the material world. You will take birth again and again as a good karma kandiya, and that's why the priest should do his job. The priest whom you hire for conducting some shraddha ceremony or some yagya to go to heaven should at one point tell you, my dear sir, by the way, don't you know we are not the body? Don't you know if you want to go to heaven to enjoy, can't you understand that there's something in you that doesn't die? That should be coming from the Brahmin. But unfortunately, because those Brahmins are smarter Brahmins, they may know the truth, but they don't divulge, they don't reveal the truth because they are family guru and they are paid and they don't want to lose their salary. So this is the problem of lots of Hindus in India and elsewhere. They are not told properly. Plus, Karma Kandiya is totally impossible in this age because they make mistakes in pronouncing the mantras. When they utter the mantras, it's full of mistakes. They're not clean, they're not pure. Karma Kandiya is not the solution. So that's why you have seen in the Bhagavatam, lots of kings they went to Karma Kandiya, Prachina Parishat. He would finish a yagya, would start another one. The whole kingdom was strewn with kusha grass. He was stuck in the mud. Who came in the picture? Narada. Narada to preach to him like anything. We're getting stuck. And finally, he got the point. And he had great sons. He had the 10 prachitas. They are pure devotees. But the father was stuck in Karma Kandiya. So it takes the grace of a Madhyam. Of course, Narada is Vishnu Parikar. So, unless and until you are contacted by a devotee, that is why Prabhupada was so keen on preaching in India and Mauritius and all these Indianized places. Because otherwise they can't make it on their own. It takes a devotee to wake them up. You understand, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Okay, so can you imagine we have covered only one verse? Anyway, It's an important verse. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janatya Shuviragyam Gyanam Sayata Hetukam. 7. Someone can read the Sanskrit or English as you wish.
Oh, I'm reading. Sorry, Prabhu. My phone was mute. My mic. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Asho Vairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahetukam. Translation. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, once immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So,
Go ahead.
yeah, so it's mentioned that like text verse 6 and 7 answers the question 1 and 2 in chapter 1.
Yes.
And as we've seen, the purport is very loaded with Prabhupada mentioning how devotional service should not be, we have to make sure that we don't take it as an action of just emotional affair, but bhakti, just like charity, austerity, mystic power, all these things shouldn't be considered to be bhakti. In fact, understanding the Prabhupada is mentioning how at some point bhakti was not even awarded to very low class of people, and
Yeah, because the smarta would prevent. This is the nastiness of the smarta. They would prevent the lower strata of the population to access to bhakti. Just like in the West, why do you think the mass in the Christianity was spoken in Latin? Why? Because these rascals wanted to prevent the populace to access to religious or spiritual understanding. You follow? That's smart abominism. Prabhupada was not, he could have spoken in Sanskrit, in pure Sanskrit. Where we would be. There's no way we can advance. Bhaktisiddhanta told him, you go to the West, don't preach in Hindi or Bengali or Sanskrit, you preach in English.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pure devotion service. He knows, I want to access the people of America, of Europe. Prabhupada went to back Africa with Brahmanand Maharaj was there. And he arranged so many programs in Kenya, Nairobi, and one after the other. And Prabhupada said, where are the blacks? I only see Indians here. I came all the way to Nairobi to see Indians. I could have stayed in India. It was not happy. Where are the blacks? And Brahmanand Maharaj in those days, he got the point. He said, yes, I put my foot in the mouth. So this is the point. So here, Jiva Goswami, 127, is quoting 5.8.12, Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Kinchana. So, in other words, when we are talking about Bhakti, pure Bhakti, 1 to 6, this is knowledge of the Lord's Swarup. This is, if you practice pure devotional serving, as explained in those verses, you're going to be accessing knowledge of the Lord's Swarup. The very form of the Lord will be revealed to you. In other words, do we have the same type of detachment as any other spiritualist? When we say detachment, what does it mean, detachment? Detached, vairagya.
Detachment in this term means cutting off ties with material life, sense gratification.
Yes. What is the definition of detachment in Gaudiya Vaishnavism? After all, yes, Prabhu.
using everything in the service of the Lord.
Yes. What is the verse? Sarvabhaum. I think Bhattacharya. How does it go, that verse? Whatever doesn't foster my Krishna consciousness should be rejected. Whatever fosters or encourages my Krishna consciousness will be accepted, should be accepted. Prabhupada would say to that devotee, you marry, and next devotee, you take from that. Because he knows that for the former, that's going to induce his Krishna consciousness. For the latter, sannyas will help him out. So whatever doesn't foster in Mayavad understanding, money will be an impediment for them. That's Falgu Vairagya. But for us, not necessarily if you engage your millions into Krishna consciousness. That's not an impediment. What is that verse of Sarvabhaum? A beautiful verse. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Shikshatameka Purusha Puranaha. Yes. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam. Yes, that's the verse. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshatam Eka Purusha Puranaha. Vairagya and Vidya. Same here, 127, Gyan Vairagyam. Knowledge and renunciation, Vairagya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshatam Eka Purusha Puranaha. That should be according to Bhakti Yoga. You follow? If your vidya, your knowledge, fosters your bhakti, yes. If it doesn't foster, if it's counterproductive to your bhakti, enough. If you become so much learned that you forget Krishna, or you get engrossed into astrology or music or Ayurveda or Sanskrit even, to the extent that you forget Krishna, then it's useless. And Vairagya means, like we discussed, whatever fosters your Krishna consciousness. If you are good at making money, make money for Krishna. That's what it means. Many other spiritualists will not agree with us. They will say, no, I don't agree. And then 127, Ashu. What's the meaning of Ashu? Ashu. Ashu means, we discussed already Ashu in 112. Ashu is very important in 127. Janatya Shu.
Soon,
Yeah, I mean,
very soon.
Yes. Remember 112?
at once, yeah.
Tat Shanat. Sadhyo Rijavalujate Trak Prithvi Shushushubir Stak Shanat. In no time, immediately, practically, you will be propelled into good bhakti. In no time. Beyond knowledge, beyond dry logic. Talku Pratishta Vibharu Bibinam Yudhishthira. Dry conclusion is inconclusive. Here we're talking about knowledge of the self, knowledge of Krishna's Swarup. So this is beautiful. You don't have to strive independently. Oh, I have to acquire detachment independently of bhakti. I have to strive for knowledge independently of bhakti. If you get the mother, you get the sons. You know, Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmyam, the story with Bhakti Devi and Narad. You know the story, perhaps. Do you know this story?
Bhakti Devi.
There's a book, Srimad Bhagavat Mahatmya. And Bhakti Devi is totally, Narad is, as you know, transcendental astronaut, is traveling everywhere, and he meets this lady. She's totally forlorn. Look, she's looking miserable. You know the story?
Yeah, then she's in total distraught, and
Exactly.
she has two sons, Gyan and Vairagya, and they are almost dying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then what is the solution? Narad is trying to come up with solutions because she's in the beginning of Kali Yuga.
To hear Srimad Bhagavatam.
Exactly. And those two boys are decrepit. They're fallen, lifeless. Because in Kali Yuga, no one gives a damn about Bhakti. What to speak of Gyan and Vairagya? And Nanak finally, because he has received himself Bhagavatam from Brahma and also from the four Kumaras, his big brothers. So finally, it comes to the reality. Yes, I have to start reading Bhagavatam, and gradually, she becomes enlivened as well as the two boys. But if you get the mother, you get the two boys,
Mm-hmm.
and if you get the boys, you don't necessarily get the mother. This is the point. Okay, so I guess we'll stop here. It was very short. I mean, what to do? These verses are so deep.
Prabhu, very quickly,
Yeah.
as you were mentioning about the Smarta Brahmana, how they would try to deprive certain class of people from accessing the knowledge of bhakti. So first I understand that these Smarta Brahmana, they themselves doesn't have bhakti.
Yeah.
But then how could they have this knowledge of bhakti being a gem, bhakti being a transcendental treasure, and concluding that this knowledge, this aspect should be hidden, they should hide it from certain class of people.
Yeah, because see, we discussed long back. First of all, we don't embrace entirely all the Vedas. They go 245. Trigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistrigunya Bhavadina. We don't necessarily embrace all the Vedas. Lots of parts of the Vedas are dealing with Purushiya Brahman, dealing with aspects of the Vedas which are, you can touch that, like Shilpa Veda, architecture, Dhanu Ved, Yajur Ved. What we are concerned with is Aduksha Brahman, the transcendental part of the Vedas. And still, we are extremely finicky. We want Vedusha Pratyaksha. We want the realization of the enlightened ones. Vedusha means enlightened, Narutam Dastapo. And the Smarta, unfortunately, they are Avedusha. Avedusha Pratyaksha means realizations of the ignorance. They are ignorant when it comes to Vedas.
Mm-hmm.
And Krishna explained in 242, remember 243, they become enamored by the flowery words of the Vedas. Vacho Begam, Vacho, the words of the Vedas. They become enamored. And they are Veda Vedarata. They are false followers of the Vedas. They don't even know themselves. They may have heard Bhakti is superior, but they have no realization about it. And they don't take up the path of Bhakti. Or they put a little bhakti just for the sake of getting good to get some fruits out of their path,
Mm-hmm.
But they may speak, but they don't realize the importance of bhakti. They don't have realizations because it's abedusha. Their words are ignorant. As we are concerned, we have to be very concerned by Vedusha Pratyaksha. We want to hear from Vedusha, realized souls, Narottam Das Thakur, Bhakti Siddhant, Veshvanath, Srila Prabhupada, Uddhav, you follow?
Mm-hmm.
So they may speak Bhakti, but they don't apply, they cannot teach it properly. Or if they want to teach it, they want to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
I with my own eyes, this Anup Jalota on the stage in ISKCON Hyderabad, he wanted 1 lakh cash before singing. And all for 2 hours he's singing about Krishna. I was there on the stage with him. I heard he said, "Give me 1 lakh now." And my guru had to blast the TP. Why did you invite him to Punjab? He wants money. Like he's a rascal number one. And for 2 hours he's speaking Krishna Bhajan. For 2 hours. Beautiful thing. People are saying, wow, he's such a great soul. And he's asking 1 lakh cash before starting singing.
Wow.
So they're rascals. They know. Implicitly they know, yes, it's higher. But they have no realizations. No realizations. On the contrary, they go for karma and gyan. And they want reputation and Bollywood and stuff. That's what they anyway.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a question. May I? Yeah.
Yes.
So at the end of the purport of the text 7, yeah, Prabhupada says bhakti is the supermost occupation of the human being. Yes.
Yes.
So we understand that bhakti is the mercy of the Lord. Is within the heart. It has been polluted since we had some material desires, but it's also a verb, right?
It's
a verb, yeah. But it's also mercy, right? And it's devotion as well, right? So it's more than just a verb, right?
A verb, V-E-R-B.
Yeah, it's a verb plus a noun, huh?
Yeah. See, when it comes to Sanskrit, the dhatu, the root part of the word, it's, let me put it in the chat. Okay, it's called bhaj, chat. So bhaj is the dhatu here. So from bhaj will come bhakti, bhakta, bhokta. Remember 529? Bhokta Yagyatapasam. So it's all the same dhatu, the same root, bhaj. That's why you cannot say Shiv Bhakta. It's nonsense. Ganesh Bhakta. It's grammatically wrong. Bhaj, bhajan, it's only for Krishna. You cannot say Shiv Bhakta. No.
So bhaj, what does mean?
Bhaj means to worship.
To worship.
So it will give the name Bhakta, male or female, doesn't matter. What do we give to Bhakta? Bhakta means he gives bhakti, and Bhakta means he receives bhakti. That's Krishna. Bhaktaram yagyatapasam sudiram savabhutanam. 529. So it's all the same root, bhaj. That is only for Krishna. You cannot say Indra Bhakta. No. Just like, if you say in French, le voiture. Voiture means car. You don't say le voiture. It's la voiture. So you cannot say Shiv Bhakta. No. It's a mistake. It's a grammatical mistake. You cannot say to a lady Prabhu. It's a mistake.
So bhaj is from Bhagavan as well, maybe?
Exactly. Some devotee call Mataji Prabhu. It's a grammatical mistake in Sanskrit. Mataji means it's higher than Prabhu. But you cannot, it's Sanskrit means it's very clear. Bhaj, only for Krishna. Bhakti is only for Krishna. You may be a devotee of Shiv, yes, that's English is okay, but you cannot say Shiv Bhakta. It's a mistake grammatically. And of course, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, Shiv is the greatest of devotees. Anyway, I'll add up more stuff in 127 next time because it's also very deep verse. Okay, so we'll stop here. Sorry we didn't cover much, but
you told us to remind you about the typography for
the font,
the font from Balaram.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to all of you. I'll send you the font right now before I forget. So do you have any question, or should I pause? Should I stop the recording?
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So,
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Bol. Stop recording.
Recording stopped.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. I will send you homework now because we are entering and